Hi, everyone. With me today is a female founder of Speck Finance, Becky Baker. Becky Baker is a member of the FBAA, is new to the finance broking business, but she is doing exceedingly well. And Becky, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Dinesh.
Fantastic. Becky, tell us about Speck Finance.
Well, I started my own business and called it Speck Finance because that was also my nickname, being Becky. And so it relates to me, but it was also not putting my own name in the brand. The reason why I got into mortgage brokering was to try and provide a good service for finance for self-employed, for people that were finding it hard to talk about their issues with getting a loan. And I felt like I could help provide solutions and have the business experience to bring to the table to help them out.
Fabulous. Absolutely, Becky. Look, the real question that I have is you're a female entrepreneur, Becky, getting into an industry that is new to you, but one with over 16,000 other brokers, competitors, if you want to call them that. What were you thinking?
I was thinking about the work-life balance for me, being able to be a stay-at-home mum, looking after my kids, but also doing some work and bringing in an income into the household. But I didn't actually realise how many brokers there was in the industry and how competitive it actually was until I got into it.
Thankfully, you didn't get all the detail, right? Because otherwise it might have overwhelmed us, as it typically does anyone. But coming back to how you got started, and as a new broker, why did you think getting a digital strategy was important to you, and why was getting your digital presence right important for you?
I think being a business owner, sometimes you get bogged down doing the actual work and you forget to take a step back and have a look at what your goals and what you're actually working for and what you're actually wanting to achieve. So by working with NetStripes and yourself, we've been able to get that digital blueprint cemented for me. So it brings me back to a place where I know what my goals are, I know what I need to focus on, and it's good to have that actual printed out piece of paper that you can always revert back to and get back on the right path.
Absolutely. And I know you sat down with one of our advisors and went through that process. What did you find most valuable about that digital strategy process that you did?
Well, working out where the clients that I actually made the most income from, and so where I needed to focus on to get me to my next financial goal. So not working harder, but working a bit smarter. So being structured on the people that I was trying to get as my clients and the type of loans that I enjoy doing and are worth, a better financial outcome for me.
Thank you for that. And finding that clarity with your clients was important to you?
Absolutely. Once I actually broke down and put into the categories what I was spending my most time on, I was actually doing a lot of the loans that I wasn't making as much money on, but they were taking up a lot more of my time. So moving forward, I can see by putting more emphasis on the bigger loans and the clientele I'm wishing to attract, I'll be working not as hard, but and I'll be reaching my goal. So that by itself is, very, very important to me.
Well said, Becky, because it's so true that most business owners work very hard on their business. They work exceedingly hard. At the end of the day, they don't have time for themselves or their families. But also at the end of the year, when they look, they haven't achieved those financial goals. But as you correctly said, once you got clarity with regard to who your most valuable clients were, you were able to then focus on those clients. And also strategies about the trade-offs you make, right? To decide on who you're going to work with, but also who you're not going to work with. And by making that change, as you correctly said, you don't have to now work as hard as you did, but you can still work with the customers you want to work with and achieve those financial goals. So that is an absolutely important part of getting your strategy right. So well done for doing that. how important was it for you to get that digital presence right for you?
The biggest thing is that everyone searches on Google, whether it be, Facebook or sitting on the couch in the evening, scrolling through their phone. So while I could be recommended by a family or a friend in the barbecue conversation, people tend to look you up. So I feel by having that digital presence, it shows that I'm a real person. I actually exist. I'm not some scam trying to get your information. So in today's world with reviews and feedback and testimonials, that's invaluable to me.
Absolutely. And that fact, the trust and credibility factor is so important online, isn't it? Because today there are so many scams happening, so many bad practitioners in every industry, whichever that industry is. And for you to deliver those credentials and your authenticity strong is important, and well done in doing that. Now, but I want to, having said that, I want to go back a step back onto the strategy process. When you did the strategy with the NetStripes advisor, how aligned did you find that strategy was to your financial goals, but also how aligned was it to the purpose of your business, the purpose you started, that you had when you started the business?
Yeah, my purpose was to help people that thought it was too hard to get finance or just had no idea, where to start. So going through and breaking it all down into a plan and into a strategy has, helped me to hone in on the customers that I feel I can help the most, and also, bring in the most revenue for myself and my family. So your strategy experts were amazing with breaking it all down and going through what I've done in the last 12 months and where I want to be in the next 12 months to keep me on the right path.
Fantastic. The reason I asked is, everybody starts their businesses with true purpose of serving, with a great vision, but business is so difficult, isn't it? When you start a business, there are so many things that we have to do, so many demands on us, customer demands, competitor demands, regulatory demands, especially in this industry, and business gets very tough. But if you get this strategy right, and you have that clarity of what you are doing and what you should not be doing, it's easier to be true to your purpose. Did you find that?
Yes, absolutely. It makes it easier to say yes or no when those situations come up, because you know what you're looking for.
Absolutely. The other thing, the next step after building the strategy was to get your branding right. The branding means your messaging visually and in language right, so that when people see you online, they get your message, what you're about, instant trust and credibility is created. Now, how did you find that process? Because normally when people think of branding, they think of a logo, a name of a business, and some colors. But I think you learned that it was a bit more than that, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So branding was very important, and more than a logo, as you said, because it was structured around the clientele that I was trying to attract, but also my promise to them of finding them a solution that, suited their individual needs, and also with my credentials and, my love for finance. So promoting and pushing that across and showing that as part of my brand and my promise.
Absolutely, because a lot of the time people think a brand is just a bunch of colors that you choose and a logo. But branding is a lot more than that, isn't it? Branding is that brand promise. What is my business's promise that I deliver to every customer every time, and whoever in my business delivers? I always use this example of Toyota. When I ask people, tell me what you first think of when you think of the brand Toyota, and people say reliability. And the question that every business must ask is, what does your brand stand for? And Becky, you got that brand promise very strong. Whenever people will see you, that brand depicted on your website or on social media or wherever, there is that instant trust and credibility that is created, but also I think your message is very clear. So I think well done in getting that right. Did you find that process efficient, and how did you find that whole process of getting a brand right?
I found it actually really easy because you were helping me along the way. If I was to try and do that by myself, still be sitting behind my desk trying to nut it out. So by having your support and your wisdom to help with the wording, so I could like spit out everything that I wanted, but to try and write it and project it in the right way, and not to babble on. Like, you know, we went through our brand promise and a little elevator pitch, and it was like it started off many lines long, and you ended up converting it down to like under 5 lines. So it was readable and to the point. So although that kind of knowledge, you know, was wonderful.
Thank you, Becky. I got to say, in this case, I had the pleasure of being your strategist, and all our net strategists follow that same process, but the brand design is done by world-class branding guys that we have, so I can't take any of that credit of the work they have done. It's of course it's teamwork, but I think you played a very key role there, where you were able to articulate it using, of course, the expertise we provided. And it is important. It's a partnership, isn't it, when you work together to build it, because otherwise you can't get that outcome.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so, you know, we sat down and we went through like the blueprint together, and then you gave me a few things to work on that I could do by myself. And so the whole process, I think we said it took about, 5-6 hours of my own time spending on my business to get my digital blueprint and strategy right. So that's not very long to come up with a great brand and a website and a business plan, really, on moving forward.
I mean, how cool is that, right? You said you spent 5 to 6 hours and you got a blueprint or a modern day business plan that you will run your business on. You got your branding right, so you got your online brand designs done, and you also ended up with your brand new website. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And tell us about your new website that was launched after this entire process.
I'm really happy with it. It's like got my colouring of my logos, so it sort of matches and it flows really well. It advertises to the clientele that I'm looking to attract. So when we go further down the track and we start advertising it, it's going to be targeted to that target market that I'm looking at attracting. It's clean, easy to read, it's not cluttered, and it's mobile friendly, which was a huge one for me because I sit on my phone at night. I'm guilty in front of the TV and scroll through things, and you can't just have it right on a desktop computer these days. It's got to be mobile friendly as well, and definitely achieve that with this website.
You're so right, Becky. Everybody today sits on their couches and checks the web on their phone, right? So our websites must work really good on that mobile phone. But at the same time, it must be able to deliver that message people want very quickly, correct? Because people don't have a lot of time to read because they're watching something else, probably on television while doing this research. So it's a hard one, hard nut to crack and get right. The best thing about your website now, I believe, is, while you're a relatively new business, if anyone looking at it won't think you are a new business or you're a small business, it looks like any other brand, a finance brand out there, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It has that professional sort of touch to it, but as well as keeping it friendly still, because that was another big thing for me. I wanted to be that personal touch, and so that's where NetStripes and you Dinesh have, delivered me more than I could ever ask for.
Hey, thank you for that. But look, I think what's most important, as you said, that friendliness, your authenticity comes right through that. which I love about it. Now, thank you very much, Becky. It's been fabulous interviewing you today. It's been fabulous going through that process with you. We'd welcome hearing of your success as you continue to succeed. Keep us posted on your progress. And I want to end with this. If you had to recommend NetStripes to anybody, would that be something you would be happy to do?
Absolutely. You're more than just a website designer. Like you get the strategy right and the blueprint as well for the business moving forward. So you're the full package.
Fantastic. Becky, great interviewing you. All the very best to you for your business. It has been an absolute pleasure dealing with you.
Thank you, Dinesh.